I've been reviewing the decline and fall of the Roman Empire for many years now, and I've come up with some thoughts about it. It has to be said that the main reason for reading the decline and fall of the Roman Empire is for the way it is written. Gibbon is certainly a great historian, but there have been many other great historians since, and our knowledge of Roman history has increased by leaps and bounds. If your motivation is simply to learn about the Romans, you do much better with somebody more up to date. But the fact remains, nobody can write like Edward Gibbon. One of the reasons for this is that we don't live in the same world anymore. You cannot simply devote 20 years of your life to a project that takes your fancy, like a member of the 17th century British upper classes could. But even if you had the leisure to do so, the state of knowledge is such that you cannot read every document on the subject in the way that Gibbon could. There is so much information and data now that no one person can know all of it. Finding time to be free of distraction is even harder. I can access the internet from my desktop, my laptop, my tablet, my phone. There's also the radio and television. I have a lot of books on my shelf, but there is a potentially an infinite number of books on my Kindle. The post office thoughtfully delivers magazines to which I subscribed. It's little wonder that my attention span is that of an unusually skittish squirrel who seems to be a bit excited at the moment. But there are even more differences in the details of the way he worked that we cannot easily replicate. He describes how he would not start committing a sentence to paper until he had thoroughly rehearsed it in his head. This makes perfect sense. In his time, ink and paper were scarce commodities. Indeed, paper was still relatively short when I was growing up in the 1960s. I can remember removing the end papers from books to have something to write on. Most of us today work straight on to some kind of computing device. We can modify and edit whatever we write at will. We just don't have the discipline to consider every word, and indeed we don't really need to. Much is gained by this, but I think we have lost something in the process as well. We rarely take the time to fully consider exactly what it is we are writing. So, based on my immersion in his book, here are some tips on how to write like Edward Gibbon. 1. Write on paper, preferably in ink and especially preferably with a fountain pen. Before starting a paragraph, consider how you intend to end it. Rehearse sentences you are about to write in your head before you commit them to paper. 4. Avoid all distractions. Switch off your computer and your phone, turn off the television and the radio, send away all your servants. 5. Think about your audience. Tune your writing to their knowledge and experience. You don't need to do this if you're a blogger, of course, but if you want to get into the spirit, then imagine the audience you would like to have, but no, you never will. And bring the whole thing to a conclusion with a great final sentence. Thanks for listening.